Good morning, welcome. We are really, really pleased today to have Gary Kayye, founder of rAVepubs, with us. Gary, welcome. Now, we know that you have been to ISE every year since the first year, which was Geneva. Tell us a little bit about this year in particular.
I'm blown away. I mean, it's a great show. It's big. They delivered on exactly what they promised. They promised the fourth day, and that the fourth day would be busy, and that the third day would be more like the first and second day, and they delivered.
Now, more than anybody else in the industry, I suspect, you're an outsider journalist looking in. You must have seen a lot of change in ISE in all those years.
Yeah, the first year it was freezing cold, and we were setting up in Switzerland, and now we're in Amsterdam, and it's, I mean, the weather's beautiful outside. It's a great convention center. It's a great, we get welcomed really well by the town. But yeah, the technology's changed a lot. I mean, the size of the NEC stand is about half the size of the entire show.
Really?
12 years ago. But it's, this show has encompassed a lot more technology than that did back then. It was very much a focused corporate AV show. Now we have commercial AV, residential AV, digital signage, rental staging products, and we even have software.
Yeah, Mike Blackman's done an absolutely terrific job. As you know, our specialty is digital signage. The digital signage hall has grown unbelievably huge. I think it was nothing.
It's bigger than the entire any other show in the country, in the world.
It is, yeah, much bigger indeed. So you're happy with the fourth day then today?
I think so. I mean, I'm happy that the fourth day generated the third day traffic, I guess is the way I would describe it, because the last day of a show is always going to be the last day of the show. The last day of a show is always going to be slow. The fourth day was going to be successful if the third day was packed, and the third day was packed.
Okay. Tell us a little bit how you work at the show, because you bring quite a few people over.
We do.
You've got the expertise of doing this at Infocom. I think you do quite a few of the Infocom events. Tell us how you work when you come in on the weekend. What's a typical schedule for you and your people over the week?
Well, we start obviously a few weeks before preparing for the show, and we're trying to figure out how to get all of our equipment here. But ultimately, we usually fly in on the Friday before the show, and then we are staging all of our equipment, setting it up, and we're bringing 30 cameras and 30 microphones and all of the equipment to get everything online. We brought this year's show, I believe we brought 16 people from our offices, mostly in the United States. A couple of people here in Europe that write with us normally, and so basically what we do is we're taking all that content and making it available through social media and digital media. And so we've got to set up sort of a makeshift office just like we have at home at headquarters here on the fly here at a trade show. So it's a lot of behind the scenes work, and there's a lot of front scenes work, but we also have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot of work. Now you're pretty much the leading light on the social media stuff. How important do you think that is to a show like this?
I would like to think it's really important. I mean, we love the social aspect of it, I think, allows people to stay connected in real time. For example, this morning we live streamed the keynote through Periscope, and we had 44 people that were on there the whole time. We had over 400 people that joined on and off at various times, which those numbers are really small in the grand scheme of things, but they were big enough that Periscope then retweeted and then joined our conference. But also, it's you have to put everything in perspective. We're a niche market, and I think a lot of people were interested to see what he had to say and couldn't be here.
Yeah.
And so it's the other thing is, I think any kind of coverage, your publication, our publication, doesn't displace actually being here. I mean, you know that. What it does do is augment it and also encourage people to come to a show like this. We've had many people over the years tell us we've come to the show because we saw how exciting it was through your
because you've created a buzz around the show.
Well, I think the buzz creates itself, and we just inertia from that energy. I don't think we necessarily create the buzz. I think we help give the flavor of what's actually going on.
One of the things I would really like the organisers of the show to do is to start reporting on those Twitter statistics. I think we've been doing it long enough now.
You do a great job on the reporting. Well, I mean, if it weren't for you, I don't think anybody would know what the Twitter statistics are.
Well, that's why we know you're the leader in the social media stuff, because we measure this stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a moving target for them because, I mean, there's a lot more out there than Twitter. I mean, and I think everyone sort of assumes that Twitter is the only social. But we have an enormous engagement on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and other even smaller social media sources. Right. So I think it's tough to do because it is a little bit of a moving target, but now, I agree with you.
You're privileged and also cursed. Privileged in the fact that you can see the whole show through your people. Cursed in the fact that you cover so many areas. We just focus on digital signage.
Right.
You cover the whole spectrum.
Theoretically.
So give us a couple of trends across those vertical sectors that you've seen, you think, this week.
I think some obvious trends that I think most people probably picked up on, but it's worth mentioning, is the movement towards, I mean, there's a buzzword collaboration, but there's a movement towards true collaboration where it is truly plug and play, and you are taking content off the network simpler, and the ability, and even companies working together that used to be desperate and competitive companies. That's one thing. There's a trend towards very small, very bright, very powerful projection and flat panel display technology that used to cost an enormous amount of money that is now much more affordable and is fulfilling the sort of promise. Also, creative, in your market, for example, digital science, really creative applications with things like LG's two-sided display technology. I think that's going to drive a lot of development in other areas, and I think there's a lot of creativity there. The tables that NEC has in their booth, I mean, every time I came in here, there were 15, 20 people surrounded, and there wasn't a time that there wasn't anybody touching that table. Things like that are creating the buzz. I mean, and I think that that was certainly shown here at ISE 2016.
Now, you're also well placed, I suspect. So you said you were on the executive committee of Infocom, I think, a couple of years
15
ago.
years ago.
But you're well placed to give guidance to these people. Do you think Infocom in North America has to play catch up to ISE in Europe, or do you think it's good enough for what it does?
I don't think they have to play catch up. I don't think you're ever going to have a U.S. show be as big as an international show. And this is truly an international show. You look around and there's a lot of Europeans here, but there's a lot of people from the rest of the world. And I think that you have people from Asia and you have people even from North America that are coming over here, intentionally coming over here, not just to represent manufacturers. I think Infocom is a North American show, and it is Infocom International as the association. But really, I mean, it is right now a North American show. Now, that said, it is strategically placed time-wise where it could become sort of the alternative international show because you have enough separation. 5 months is enough separation where you have enough new products. So I definitely think there's some movements that Infocom could make, and I think some of it's already started because they're trying to encourage more international press to participate in Infocom and then get more international exposure. But the technologies are still there, and the show is just as big and just as exciting. We just don't have as many people because we're not covering all the countries in the world.
Okay. Last question then. We've got a fourth day. So for a journalist like us, we've got a bit of free time.
We love the fourth day because we can walk the aisles without a whole bunch of people bumping it, and we actually get dedicated time with the manufacturers.
You've answered what was going to be the last question.
Sorry,
Gary, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.